Celestia?
It may have been. And Takinoko at the end. There you go. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about games because it is game time. Now, Dan has brought something special tonight. We are not playing some big box game that you can go pick up at a Target, but we highly encourage you to make your own version and play along at home. But I think I need to let Dan explain what the heck is going on here. So I mean, he's got to earn something, right? So Dan, what is our feature game of the evening? No pressure, must be awesome.
Well, see, you mentioned earlier that one of the first things you handed off to me was that I was now responsible for being the game's master for the show, and I quickly arrived at that the easiest way to do that, to shirk that duty or to shortcut that duty, was simply to steal aggressively from others. So, in the vein of that, I guarantee awesomeness because we're just taking someone else's brilliant idea. Anyone who's watched a bunch of Board Game Gumbo will see that you guys have played multiple different games at the back end of the show, often the whole second half of the show. One of the most popular for you guys was the Envie game. And you will correct both my my attempts at Cajun pronunciation and everything I'm describing about this as I get it wrong. But the idea here, the notion of Envie is intense desire. And here you're thinking of something, either a game you want to play, the game you would be playing if we could actually just sit down right now and play a game together, the game that you would choose for that. And we do not know what you were thinking of. So Chris is going to be asking you a series of questions in an attempt to track down to identify your Envie. Did I summarize that up approximately there?
That was perfect. You get me. You get me. Excellent, Dan. Excellent. That's Envie, good old Cajun word that means like what you guys would say, a jonesing or a hankering maybe. I don't know. But, that intent that if we're not doing it right now, the show, I want to play this game.
All right.
Perfect. You did it well.
There you go. So Dan, how's this going to go down?
So we're going to ask a series of questions. It's not quite a 20 questions type simple. They don't have to be yes/no questions, but they tend to be binary type questions. And then we'll discuss after BJ gives us his answers, and then see if we can narrow down rapidly within about 20 of these what he has in mind. And in fact, go ahead.
I was going to say, before the show started, you handed out 3 cards, and one of us could be the traitor and giving out the wrong answer. Oh, no, that's not the game.
You gave him a traitor card again?
As any loyal listeners know, that I'm always the traitor here. But no, so to get us started, as a matter of fact, we'll even go ahead and get us rolling with BJ's usual first question, which is, do you have a cooperative or competitive game?
This, my friend, is a competitive game.
Competitive. So were you thinking to take turns, Dano?
No. You go ahead and roll with it. I'll chip in if I have some brilliant thought here. But this is your baby.
It's a competitive game.
It's a competitive game. Is it considered a card game or a board game?
It is mostly a card game, but does have a board. I'll tell you that.
Ooh, there's a wrinkle.
Is it Watergate?
Wow, I am terrible at this game. I told you before the show, during this show.
No, but why don't you turn around real quick?
A week or two ago.
Why don't you turn around though?
So yeah, we have spent the entirety of the recording session staring at Watergate directly behind your head, and the game.
Put out by the lovely Capstone game.
Well, I picked it number 1 because I really do have an Envie to play Watergate every time I go to game night lately.
That's awesome.
But I also know that you are a big fan of Capstone games. I was like, maybe he's not going to go that way, and he's gonna zig, and I'm going to zag. And no, the second question. And is it Watergate? Yeah, it is Watergate. I love this game. I just think the world of it. I've played it 3 or 4 times already since Gen Con. I'm fascinated by the game. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, in all fairness, we don't get anything from Capstone, but I definitely enjoy hanging out with Clay. He does he basically sponsors our bourbon night at Origin. Right. So, there's a relationship, but there's no business. So,
Chris and Dan, did I not tell you that I'm terrible at board games? I mean, really, really bad, and this proves it for the entire board game.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a very short show.
There was some discussion beforehand whether there'd be opportunity for all of us to get to do I think the answer is yes.
The answer is definitely yes. So who's going to go next? Anybody want to go?
Oh, it's got to be Chris, right?
I guess it's got to be me. So what am I jonesing to play right now?
Yeah, we would definitely go, being from the Northeast here, the Philly region being represented, we would go with Jonesin before hankering. I think that's pretty safe.
Jonesin. Yeah.
I think I asked Bonacor, so you would say something like hankering, and Bonacor said, in New Jersey, we don't say hankering.
I got a hankering for a beatdown.
I don't know the term. We say envie. I got the envie for some boudin right now. So.
All right. I have something in my head. Dan, if you wanna chime in and help away, please.
Well, I can certainly get us going with the perfunctory first, cooperative or competitive.
This will be competitive.
All right, so Dan, you're definitely gonna have to help me out with some questions here.
Have no fear. You've got no chat this time. So if you're like looking to your second monitor to see what chat's contributing, it's gonna be blank. This is no one can see it right now.
I went to my questions because I use my cheat sheet during the game. But you're right. I don't have the chat to cover for me. I will not be standing on the shoulders of giants here. So the next question I usually ask is this an American or a European designer? Where are we looking at from the design standpoint?
It's an American designer.
You got one, Dan?
Well, I mean, we'll stay with the safe stuff right now. So American. So is it? Let's talk about how recent this game is. This game that's been published in the last, we'll say, 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, very recent.
Ooh. So is it a card? You asked the question that nailed it. Although I still can't figure out how you got it just from that. But the card, is it card based or is it board game based or is it which one?
Board game based.
Yeah, we probably could have skipped that one for Chris entirely. Chris is never has an envie for a pure card game that has yet to happen.
That being said, I'm enjoying Villages right now.
Okay.
Which is all card based, but it's very engine building and it's not very card play-y. So.
Okay. Well, to put you on the spot, and I hate to do that with your friendship with Clay, where are you on Watergate?
I have not played it.
Okay.
It was at Origins. It was jam packed. Could never get a play in because everybody was just fawning over it and loving it. So I haven't really had a chance. And it's funny because my wife and I play games a lot, but we don't usually play like 2-player games. So it's definitely one I'm going to try, and I'll definitely pick it up. I mean, it's affordable. It's Matthias Kramer.
Did Capstone win Origins, by the way? Like between Watergate and Pipeline, like was there anyone who was hotter at a?
Well, Origins didn't come out, so Origins
Pipeline
came out, but Watergate had not. Okay. Watergate released at Gen Con, so it was it's a toss up. Plan B does a really big job at Origins. They did the New Century game and things like that. So I argue they tend to win the day. But Capstone represented, and they sold out. They sold out of Watergate. They sold out of Pipeline. They're actually sold through Channel. They have to reprint right now, which is probably the first time that's happened.
I haven't played Pipeline. It's very popular in our area, though. I mean, it's a game that a lot of people like. But Ragusa and Watergate, I mean, two of the games that I really enjoyed coming out of Gen Con. So Capstone, that's two games that are right up my alley, that's for sure.
They're on fire.
Yeah, like and he's got Chinese Zodiac right around the corner. The reprint of Bus is coming. Like, he's on a roll right now, big time.
He's still doing Simply Complex. Are we going to see any games coming out with that?
Yes, the new Chinese Zodiac game is simply complex because it's a very basic game. Estates probably could have gone either way, I think. I think he kind of bounced back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I think that's still going to be a thing for him.
Yeah, from a weight standpoint, I agree with you there. So we got a competitive game.
Yep.
An American designer.
Board game.
It is board game based. Let's see. Next one I would ask is, what style of game are we thinking? Are we talking Ameritrash? Are we talking Euro or a hybrid? I'm going to guess, knowing you, Chris, and your Twitter postings, it's going to be a Euro.
I would say that it falls more in the Euro category than anything else, yeah. That's fair.
Dan? Oh, and it came out in the last 2 years. That's another one that you said, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Just to recap, yeah.
Yeah, which unfortunately means I'm already in trouble, by the way. I need to be spending more time on Punchboard Media to keep my finger on the pulse here because recent releases are not my specialty, not my wheelhouse. So is this a game that you would play, you're likely to play two-player? Now, that doesn't mean it's a two-player game, but is this one that will work well if you were just playing it with the wife?
Better with more.
Okay. Supports it then, but that's not what you're looking to do. You're looking to sit down with some folks. Right. Better with significantly more? Better with the higher the better?
A few more.
Okay, a few more.
Does it have an XX or could have an XX in its name?
No.
Like a Chesapeake.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. But no, it is not an 18XX title.
I'm thinking Pipeline right now, Dan. I don't know what you're thinking, but that would be a throwaway because he's already said Pipeline while we were talking. So I don't think you would do that. What do you think?
There's no response from Chris there? He's not going to give away.
That was not a question.
He's playing poker. I was trying to get something out of him just by talking to Dan, but it didn't work. I'm really bad at this game, as you can see.
Man, Steve really does a lot more lifting than I knew.
Well, this is where chat would be firing out bullets here too, and here I'm just staring at you blankly. And
some of these guys, Luke, and some of the guys in the chat crew, Adam and Bradley and all them, they are really good. Emily, they are really good at getting these questions, and they hone in on it. So it came out last 2 years. It's a Euro. It's a board game. American designer. Let's see. It's not going to be a legacy game.
Is it?
What you thinking?
I'm trying to come up with an isolating question here that I'm not going to work at. Cause
I can come up with a bunch of them, but I kind of know the answers. It's kind of pointless.
A few more threw me off though, because something like Wingspan's not going to fit if you're looking at 4+ people.
Yeah, you said 4+ people, right?
Well, he said a few more than two.
More.
So,
in other words, it can play 2, but I'd rather play it with a few more.
Does it limit itself out to 4 players?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Okay.
It does not have miniatures, I'm assuming, right? No miniatures.
No.
No miniatures. Yeah. Can you play it under 60 minutes? Is it that 1 hour wonder like a Hadara or something?
Ooh. I'm going to argue no, just based on my play the other day.
Dan, that's a hint there.
And played recently.
So your classic Euro of 90 minutes almost, right?
Yeah.
In the last 2 years. So would you say it's thematic? Does it have a theme? It's not an abstract game. If it's 4 players, it's got a theme, right?
Correct. It definitely has a theme.
Dan, we gotta hone in on that theme, right?
Yeah.
We gotta think like the chat crew. We gotta think like the chat crew.
So is that theme industrial or natural, in nature here?
Ooh. Industrial, I would argue.
Industrial. Okay.
I like where you're heading.
So an industrial theme. Is it futuristic industrial? Like an Artemis project? Like an Artemis project?
Like exactly.
There's the fireworks we wanted.
We'll have to insert some in the show right now.
Yeah, I don't have a button for fireworks. That's not.
There you go.
You know, I don't know if you were thinking that, Dan, but when he said industrial and he said, I like what you're thinking, I just got this idea that it's not necessarily industrial, but that's kind of the way the game is going. You know, it's that futuristic thing. I don't know why I came up with that. So
there you go.
Wow, maybe I'm not so bad at this, Dan.
No, I mean, and like legit, like that's. I'm sorry, Dan, that I picked something that's probably barely at the store at the moment, but
No, but Chris, we've established you're much better at this game than me. You got it in 2 questions.
Well,
that's a new record, right?
The answer's right behind you. Just saying.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the difference.
So if you know anything about the show, I usually have something on the shelf that is kind of, at least one of the games is going to be kind of tied into the guest, and that's why I had that. The others are usually for me, something interesting looking, and of course I love artwork. So Nolan Nasser's artwork from New Bedford. I love spreading the love about Nolan Nasser's artwork. But I put that one specifically up there for you. I mean, I would have had some more Capstone games. I just don't own any 18XX games. Although I'll tell you, I am interested in 18 Chesapeake. That's the one game that I might be interested in playing. Is there either one of you
why
guys
that
played
specifically?
Yeah,
because I like to try different genres of games in a smaller package. I played Twilight Struggle and I liked it, but Watergate is a smaller version of it, more of a bite-sized version of it.
Sure.
And I like that. So 18 Chesapeake looks like I could get that economic train stock engine game going, but in something that I'm not gonna melt my brain with. So
well, it's funny you say that, because Chesapeake is really designed from the ground up to be an introductory game. It's designed to, but it's one of those that also should hold something for experienced players. But the way it kind of introduces you, the way the money is structured, like a lot of people say, 1830 should be your first game played. 1830 is a knife fight in a phone booth. It is brutal, and every time I've heard somebody talk about their first game of it, they're like, somebody goes bankrupt, and I'm like, how? That's not fun for anyone, right? Because the people playing the game want to keep playing, and you want to keep playing, yet you don't have any money, So there's some things that they've done in this game to kind of, it really builds on 30, but it keeps it at a smaller scale, so you don't have to worry about routes that are crazy, because that's part 1. Part 2 is being able to manage separate money. That's very difficult to teach somebody. I mean, Panamax, I would argue that that's one of its great things, but it's also one of the things that hurts it, is that people they can't separate company money from their own money, and it's really hard to do that, because at the end of the game, you take your company and you throw it out. Like, the money's worth nothing. It doesn't even matter. So, getting used to that, and then, learning how the pace of the game goes. So it's designed to hit all those buttons. But there's also a big 18XX convention down south. I forget exactly where it is. But, so you definitely have a decent community to try and play. I would encourage it. I love it. It's great way to spend an afternoon for me.
It seems to be one of those games, though, that you have to have somebody that's passionate about it and introduces people. And so far, we haven't had anybody yet down, at least in my town. So I'm just not exposed to it. At some point, I want to play.
It's also hard because I think a lot of the people who love them, they struggle to get them out, because your typical Euro groups, or definitely your Ameritrash group, wants nothing to do with it. And the Euro groups, if you're meeting on weeknights and things like that,
it's not enough time.
You're barely going to get a game in. So it's really tough to try and say, hey, let's get together all day Saturday and play this one game so we can figure it out. You need
when you could play BSG instead.
Right. I have Dan and I have a friend who does. We do BSG. He does BSG days, and we'll do 4 rounds in a day to see how bad the humans are.
So I'm always looking for games, and I don't know if you guys are interested. I'm always looking for games that do that big thing, but in a smaller package. One of the ones we've discovered recently is Jaws. A lot of people are talking about it. From Prospero Hall, I think Ravensburger is the one that's putting it out. But I love Fury of Dracula. It just takes a long time to play. Jaws gives me everything that Fury of Dracula does in a small package that we can play in about an hour-ish. You know? So, yeah. If you like that hidden movement game, it's a lot of fun.
Have either of you guys played Via Nebula?
I have not. No.
So that's one that
is that Martin Wallace?
It is, and it's Baby Brass. So Brass is one of my favorites, but once again, Brass 2.5 hours, something like that. And Via Nebula is like gives you a lot of that same feeling, does a lot of the same like accidental cooperation sort of things, or unfortunately necessary cooperation that you need to do in Brass, but it condenses it down to probably like 60 minutes after you got a play or two under your belt.
That might be my favorite mechanic in that capstone game, Ragusa, that I finally got to play. I've played some little. When I'm trying to learn a game, I'll play it with play it by myself. We're playing the different parts to try to see how it works. And I broke it out last night at Gumbo Game Night with 2 other players they also like Euro games. And it has that juicy mechanic where you're going to take a spot, but you know that you're really helping somebody else. And you're kind of calculating in your mind, okay, it's going to help them, but I really need this spot. And later on, it's going to pay dividends down the road. So if that's what Via Nebula does, I'm interested because that's one of my favorite mechanics.
Just take a look.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Are you doing any other conventions this year? Because you don't really get to make it out to too many that I see.
Yeah, I don't make it out to the Northeast conventions, unfortunately. And I wish I could. Steve goes to PAX Unplugged, and he's told me how great a convention is. I would love to. I love to go to Origins, but it's tough to do Dice Tower Con and Origins and Gen Con during the summer. But it doesn't look like I'm doing Dice Tower Con next summer, so maybe I'm going to squeeze Origins in. But as for this year, BGG Con will be our next convention. And if I could throw a plug in, anybody down south that watches your show, we have something called the Southern Board Game Fest. We're growing. We had about 250 people last year, which is small, but with plans to get bigger, our third year is we'll probably hit close to 300 or 400 people, and we've got some pretty cool special guests. I can't really say. I'll just say that the special guest we're bringing likes beer. That might be a good enough hint there. So we have some special guests. We have designers that are there. Jason Dinger was our guest of honor last year. He's the designer of Captains of the Gulf, a game you should play. Both of you should play.
If I could get a copy.
Yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming. Stronghold Games announced that they're doing a partnership with Uli, and they're going to be publishing all 3 of the games in the Acadian trilogy. But so we have game designers there. We don't have Unpub. We have something called GoPub with GEAUX, and we have lots of experienced gamers, lots of brand new gamers. So Southern Board Game Fest, we will be doing that in April. But between here and there, I'll actually be demoing games for Cosmos at BGG Con in Dallas. So come on by BGG and play some of the Cosmos games.
Awesome. And
Another
Steve,
plug.
Make sure you come say hi at PAX U when you come by this year, because it's got to say, gotta pay homage to the name father. Not kissing a ring.
Certain consideration. Hey, so PAX U, I mean, am I hearing everything right? Like, this is a convention I need to put on my calendar, right?
Well, I would argue that it's one of those that falls in the, if you've never been up here, it's a great excuse to come to Philly to experience the food and hang out, and it's a good gaming convention. I mean, it's about the size of Origins already, year 2.
Wow.
Has a lot of that same vibe, with a lot of extra events and things like that go on. I really like how it's run, and that's not just because it's in my backyard. But I enjoy it. The 2 that my wife and I go to every year is definitely going to be PAX U and Origins. I'd like to get to BGG Con. The timing, my wife's in retail, forget it. It's just, we have to choose. It's either going to be one or the other. And unless BGG comes out of the woodwork and buys Game All Night or something, we gotta stay here. So it's cheap and it's easy. So
you are Asmo Day available, right? Just in case.
Yeah.
You're Asmo ready.
Asmo ready. There you go. No, but it's there would need to be something that would get me down to to Texas, you know, and it's kind of, you know, whether it's on the same weekend or 2 weekends away, it's just too tough in that time of year for us. So, and then next year,
what I'm hearing is you don't have a hankering for Texas. That's what
I don't have any ennui for Texas. No, no, actually, that's not true. I love Texas. I've been to Austin. I loved it. The food is outstanding. The barbecue is great. Down in Houston, the food was great. You know, so all my experiences in Texas have actually been amazing, and I really enjoyed it. But you know, for me, flying to a board game convention is kind of takes it to that next level for me, where I do all the ones I can drive. So,
right.
I mean, I guess anywhere is driving distance if you have the time, but oh well. But yeah, I should get up here once. We'll show you around, give you a cheesesteak, and you know, at least cross it off the list one time. Come up a little early, hang out at Chateau Chris, and you can sit on the real couch, and maybe we can get Jamie Stegmeyer on and tag team, and
control the interview. Yep. Hey, thanks again for the glass. I really enjoyed my little game all night glass. So with the board game Gumbo, and there's a story behind this, right?
There was, I believe
You actually did this.
Oh yeah, I had to make the I etched the glass. Bernard showed me how to actually do glass etching, so I made that for you because we have a friendly late night talk show war.
Late night talk show wars. Yes. After this show is over, we're going back to our war.
Back to the gloves come off. It's that. So speaking of Mr. BJ, where can people find you if they want to come check out your show? And I highly recommend you check out all the ways you can get gumbo in your life, not just with some filet and some okra, but with this man here.
Sure. I'm on all the social medias at Board Game Gumbo. Easy to remember. It's Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook at Board Game Gumbo. Also, we run a weekly blog. It's boardgamegumbo.com. We have news, we have reviews, and we have convention stuff. So come check it out. And we're a member of Punchboard Media, so you can always find us on punchboardmedia.com. So happy to check it out. We'd love more people to come watch Gumbo live on Tuesday nights. Tuesday night, Season 5 will be kicking up after Labor Day, and we're going to have industry guests coming in at 8:30 Central on Tuesday nights. And we do a little fun show, and Chris has been a guest on our show. So thank you again for being on it.
It's a blast, and you know what? I see very few shows that kind of work with chat as well as yours does. I mean, your chat group's hysterical. It's a ton of fun, and if it's not something you can just sit there and watch, you're going to be yelling at your screen at some point during the game because that's the nature of it. So
yeah, I love the chat crew. They do a great job, and that's chat crew, KREWE.
Absolutely,
love them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. Why don't you give us our sign-off this night so we can close this down?
Until next time, Chris, laissez le bon temps rouler.